What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jukebox Ginger here with another episode hosted here in JG's Lounge. And hey, we got a hell of a show today. I appreciate everybody for following me and subscribing. My views have been going up steadily, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you so much. And today, my guest, Joaquin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How you feeling?
Uh, I got a little bit of a headache, but we're gonna roll with it. A little bit of a
All
headache.
right, yeah.
I took
Dealing
some
with
medicine,
ambiguity. I
so.
love it.
Bright and early in the morning. Appreciate you coming on, dude. Uh, tell everybody a little bit about your show.
Yeah, so my name's Joaquin. Everyone calls me Wak, and I am one third of Insensitive Culture. We talk everything from silly questions to current news events that no one may care about, and also Hollywood entertainment news. So we talk a lot of, obviously now the biggest thing is like Marvel, but we don't only discuss Marvel. That just so happens to be what the world is today, all Marvel content. But we have fun. It's basically an excuse to drink and have a good time with my friends. So
That's the way to do it, man. And same here, depending on what time of day, it's either coffee or beer. But this is my relaxed time. I just chill and escape for a little bit because I don't go out. This is me going out right here. So
yeah, I get crap all the time because I say I don't really get to do much, but my fiance, she goes, well, you hang out every Tuesday with your friends. I'm like, but that's podcasting. Yeah, I have fun, but there's also so much work involved,
right,
but I have to understand too. Like it's my time away, and we do have a lot of fun.
yeah, and so the name and sensitive culture. Who came up with that?
Dude, we struggled. We for the first 3 episodes, we were called the Golden Podcast because we loved movies. It was just me and Dave at the time, and we loved movies so much. We tried to make something that was based off of the Golden Briefcase in Pulp Fiction because we're both Tarantino fans. So it didn't really work out that well, as you can imagine, because we kept being called like the Golden Shower Podcast, and and that just wasn't flying. And then Johnny reached out because he wanted to be a part of it. He was starting to dive into podcasting for work, so he had all this equipment that was, that he had at his disposal. And then once that happened and he jumped on, we were like, man, like, let's try to find another name because obviously I was like, hey, since we're pretty much brand new and we're beginning this, do you want to change the name? Unanimously, everyone was like, hell yeah. And then get this part. The name came from a name generator because, because we couldn't think of anything. So we put a bunch of words that had to do with like pop culture and the fact that we just didn't want to censor ourselves. We wanted to speak freely and just have fun. And it popped up, and I was like, "What do you think of insensitive culture?" They're like, "It doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense for podcasting." So
That's good though. I mean, it definitely rolls off the tongue. It's interesting, and it catch my attention. Because I stumbled on one of your clips on TikTok, and that's how I met you guys. Either TikTok or Instagram, and
yeah,
that's how we met. Um, and as much as I hate social media, man, once I started podcasting, it's been the biggest thing for me for exposure.
absolutely. TikTok, if you notice, like I run all of the socials, and it's good and bad thing because now I spend all of my time on social media, much more than I ever had. And but the method to my madness, anyone who's looking at me, they're thinking he's on his phone all the time. But in all actuality, like, yeah, I'm watching these videos, they're funny and things like that, but I'm getting ideas for possible content to share because I can't just share all of my, social media content since I can't edit all the time. I'm a father of three, I have a full family, and I have to multitask this with my full-time job. as an IT administrator. So it's like, so I try to find as much as possible, try to see what the new oncoming trends are, see if I could possibly like mimic that in an insensitive culture way. So I'm always playing with editing. Most people, I tell them TikTok, you got to jump on TikTok. They're like, I don't want to see people dancing, but I'm like, dude, like there's a lot of stuff on there. That's just gold. So if you follow our page, you'll notice I do like these funny-esque TikTok videos because they're very easy to do. It's extra
Mm-hmm.
content to throw out there,
Right.
and it's just fun, man. So that's really what I'm always doing is trying to figure out what the next, what the next trend is, so we can stay on top a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny because when my wife first got a TikTok, I was like, this is the dumbest thing. But dude, it's once I got my own, mine is totally separate than hers. Like they're not even close to the same. She'll watch trending topics, and then for me, it's like podcasting, metal bands, and fucking dad joke shit. That's so yeah. I mean, it's that algorithm, man. It just catches you.
It's good. Yeah, I was gonna I tell people all the time, man, it's the algorithm. You just gotta be on it, deal with it for a little bit, and make sure to swipe as soon as you see something you don't like, because it pays attention to how long you're on a specific video, and they think, oh, I think you did like that. So, but I'm always paying attention to that, new trends, things like that. Marketing was huge, so our logo, I took a lot of. I just want to make basically something that sticks out and doesn't, it stands the test of time. I want it to, in my head, everything is the best, right? I want it to
Right.
be Nike, so we have everything set in that way, at least in my head. I don't
Mhm.
know if anything works. I don't know if it doesn't work. We just throw crap at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, and so for my show, Stardom, I wanted to kind of reinvent the idea of stardom. The rise to fame and how the dumb shit that goes viral these days is what makes people famous.
Hmm.
And the five faces on the logo is supposed to be the 5-star rating.
Mm.
Everything's ratings and reviews these days, dude. So I wanted to kind of incorporate all that because my wife, man, Amazon, she's constantly buying shit on Amazon too, and it's all about the ratings and the reviews and shit. And there's some funny stuff out there, man. So I my first couple episodes were me solo, and then somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I got some pretty interesting guests if you want to have them on. And I had somebody on, and I just loved it, dude. That's why I'm still doing it today, or else I probably would have stopped.
Yeah, I actually had a show that was purely based on interviews. That's how I started everything. It was called the Asylum Podcast, and that evolved from the Path to Asylum because I was on this big kick on improvement um, and wanting to know people's stories. And the whole reason I started podcasting was to follow that. I saw a podcast from Drama called the Short Story Long years ago, and it was an episode he had with Rob Deerdeck and a couple other people. Um, and that inspired me to get started. And dude, I still don't even have a space in my townhome because as I said earlier, I have 3 kids. My family and everything. You might hear them in the background. I apologize for that. But
It's all good.
so for me, what I did was I bought a bunch of equipment, not knowing how to use any of it. This is pre Roadcaster Pro, where you just had a bunch of knobs on this thing, and I couldn't figure it out. So um, I had everything in my duffel bag. I interviewed like one person here in my living room. Did a couple of those type of shows, not knowing how to podcast at all. And then my fiance was just like, "Are you really going to kick us out every time?" So I'm like, "All right." So I threw everything in my gym bag, and I would travel from business to business, whoever would do an interview with me. Um, and that's how I started the whole podcasting thing. Just like backpacking it. And I even went as far as, because I live in Rochester, New York. We drove to Newark. It was like a 2-hour drive. Not Newark, for Cortland. It's like a 2-hour drive to interview, someone who was on Ink Master, and I remember setting up in their shop and everything. It was, it was an experience. And then I got with my buddies, and we started this, and I had to let that one go because it's so much easier to just have a drink with friends. And if we get a guest, awesome. But if not, we just keep it rolling and keep it fun,
Yeah, man.
The interview thing, after people dump on you or like they just bail and you don't have an episode for that week, it gets rough. So I commend you.
It happened to me. It's happened so many times, and sometimes I have to reschedule. Shit happens, but yeah, I've had issues with audio feedback. I've had issues with forgetting to hit record. I mean, it's a learning process for sure.
Dude, I recorded an entire episode, and I remember she requested that her headphones be a little bit lower. I turned the wrong dial on the board that I had, and it lowered the audio, so everything was so uneven. and in that board it wasn't. That's when I found out about multi-track recording. So so I remember having to inch my way through the episodes, and just like whenever I wasn't speaking, I would have to crop and raise, and it was an experience, dude.
Well, see, you're on another level than me because the whole roadcaster stuff, I don't use any of that stuff. And then like the video clips that you do, we've talked about. I mean, that's new to me, so I'm trying to come up with the whole toggle frames and shit. But I also love this layout too. Like when I'm doing my live feeds, I don't want to change to this.
Oh, absolutely. No, the live feeds are we dabbled with some live, but because of my weekends restrictions, and we all have families and whatnot, we're like, we'll have to revisit that at another time. We have some ideas right now where we would have something similar to this for the live feeds for sure. So I don't think that you would have to get rid of your banner or anything like that when it comes to that. But I always say it, man. If anyone, obviously, goes double for you. If you need help with anything, if you see literally anything that I do that you're like, that's cool, how do you do that? I'm an open book, dude. I don't keep my secrets away from anyone. If you're down for it, reach out. And I'm always willing to help.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that. And I definitely will, because you mentioned a few programs I could download, and I'll probably buy one of those here soon. I'm tight on money, dude.
Aren't we all, brother?
Who is it?
The only real reason I use that equipment is because I used to work for Apple and they gave it to me for free.
Oh, see, there you go. All right. So do you scroll through Reddit, Board Panda, stuff like that for topics as well for your shows?
I've never used Reddit, so but my buddies do.
I like it for, I throw it in the mix. I used to use it for every episode, and now I mix it up more, especially since I do like some images and sometimes I'll do video clips. And I found a topic the other day, and it was cracking me. Have you ever heard of shower epiphanies?
No, but I can imagine what that means.
So that's a topic for today. Basically, it's almost like if, I don't know, just random thoughts that you would pop in your head while you're taking a shower. It makes sense. And so let's get into it. Here's the first one. Basically, I'm going to read them off and we're going to talk about them.
Let's do it.
It says, people who pee on the toilet seat walk among us every day, and we don't even know who they are.
All right. People who pee on the toilet seats and walk away and don't even like clean it. Let's be real. It happens to the best of us more often than we'd like to admit.
I've done it, but I've never left it.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The only time I've ever left it is if it's public urinal and it was already gross to begin with. Like, I'm not doing that, dude.
Yeah, you ever like walked into a stall and as soon as you open the door, you're like, no.
Yeah, yeah, there have been those. But sometimes it's like clean enough to where you still move forward, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, I'm not even bothering lifting this. This is already gross. So
Yeah.
sorry to the people who have to clean this up already.
Oh yeah. I think the worst ones that I've ever experienced are when you're waiting to go to the bathroom because you have to fucking go. And they open, they leave, and then you go in there, and it's a fucking mess. And you almost want to say something, but you're like, nah, no.
No, 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 no. That's not my job. I'm just here. I'm here to do what I got to do it and keep moving. Let me ask you: Do you have a shy bladder?
My wife wants me to get it checked out because I take a crap like 3 times a day.
I do. I mean, yeah, I do too. But so it might be something wrong with both of us. But what I mean by that is like at football games, baseball games, like, you ever seen those troughs where everyone is just standing next to each other? All
Yes.
you have to do is like reach over if you wanted to and grab
Yes.
someone up. I can't use those, dude. Like,
Is it like a mental thing?
I think so. I don't know where it stems from, dude. But I'm like, I'll stand there and I'll try. If someone breaks the bathroom rule where like they just have to pee in the urinal right next to you, now I'm just like, I don't know if it's like mentally I'm thinking, dude, this dude's trying to stare at my junk, man, like, or something.
See, if I was gonna fuck with somebody though, I would just stare at their face. I wouldn't even say anything. I would just, while we're pissing, I'll just stare at them
Yeah, we had
blankly.
we had
Smooth
that
out.
debate. We had that conversation on the podcast on how do you hold it? Like, what's the technique? My
Is
buddy
there
says,
one?
we found that it's the reverse. It's like how you hold a
Yeah.
hot dog is like this.
Yep.
It's the reverse of that, to where
Mhm.
it's just like, kind of
Yeah.
two fingers gently.
I agree. Yeah, that's probably a universal thing for the most part. Yeah. I can see some people
Probably.
holding it like a cigar or something. I don't fucking know.
No, you always come across that one weirdo that you walk into the bathroom and they're just standing there like Superman. Like, dude,
Dude,
how are you balancing it?
I actually see that pretty often, and they'll be like standing on their phone too. Like they'll have a hand on their side, and they'll fucking be on their phone. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah,
And it's awkward.
I
Why is
have.
it awkward? I don't know. It just is.
It is, and I have a theory on that, man. If it
Yeah,
shoots
go
straight
ahead.
forward, if you're small enough, I guess it just shoots straight forward, and it's like, all right, I guess there's a plus there.
Have you seen me, myself, and Irene, where he's like using the sign on the picture on the wall to try and get it back into the toilet?
That's where I was saying, like, yo, sometimes it just has a mind of its own, dude. Like, you don't even know until you go to use it. It just goes everywhere. You just got to clean up after yourself, guys.
All right, next up. I wish you could just record silence and then play it on loudspeakers on full blast to make the whole room quiet.
I like that. I like that train of thought. I need it.
Have you ever experienced that kind of silence? Like just dead
I
silence?
Yeah, it's always weird. Obviously I don't get much silence in my life right now. So
I get it.
so when it's really quiet, I'm paranoid when it comes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I was house hunting one time with my ex, and I've been in a room. We went and saw a house that was built in like the 1800s, and I'm very paranoid. Like, I do believe in like ghosts and things like that. I've never seen one, knock on wood, but it's like I've never heard a silence like I've heard in that house. Like, I can still feel the silence in that house, and it was very strange. Like, I couldn't. It's almost like there's no echoes. There's no. It was just insanity. Like, it drove me insane just being in there. I remember telling my ex, like, I have to walk outside. This is odd.
That's intense. We when I was a teenager, I guess preteen, but my grandpa took me to an old mine shaft, and we took this elevator with like 8 other people, real tiny little fucking closet, like coat closet elevator, a mile and a half down, and we walked into this old cavern, and they shut the lights off, and it was, not only was it terrifying, it was an experience that you never forget because it was dead silent. Like, it felt like an entity because it was so quiet, just like weighing down on you. And then the blackness, like it was a whole nother level of black. Like I don't even know how to explain it other than the same as the
Zero light getting through. Because,
nothing.
like, in your home, you have little lights that come through, and like there's always something, a crack in the door, something.
Mhm.
I'd imagine there is zero light in an old mine shaft. Ah, no.
It definitely I wouldn't say scarred me, but it definitely imprinted like that vivid memory, kind of like that silence for you. You know, it's so intense that you just can't forget it.
It is, and that's, yeah, and you can't describe that to anyone. It's like you had to have felt that before, because it really does feel like, yo, like, why is this like, why is it so heavy? You had the right word for that, heavy.
Mhm.
It's just so quiet that you feel something is on you, and I can't describe that. Like, you just
Yeah.
can't. It's crazy.
Well, when you mentioned, believing in ghosts and stuff, like, for me, I'm the same way. I grew up very religious. But I mean, it's just too boring to believe that there's nothing. There's just too much out there to believe that there's nothing. Plus, our human bodies, I don't feel like explain who we are. They give details, but they're not us, if that makes sense.
Oh, dude, I say it all the time. That's why I mean, I don't like debating anyone, but
Mhm.
I almost booked a debate between a Christian and an atheist just to see what the conversation would be like.
I
But it
love it.
had to be like non-argumentative. So it's like I almost did that, and then I'm like, because I guess what we consider agnostic, where
Yeah.
I'm not. I just don't believe. Here is what I believe. I believe what you believe, right? And I try to explain that, and I was like, trying to explain that to someone I know who is an atheist, because they just believe that we're just here, and then we go black, and that is it. And I refuse to believe. I'm like, dude, like, what we know from the universe, right now, is that it's the law of attraction, right?
Right.
If you believe in the law of attraction or the universe and whatnot, then you believe what science has already proven, right? That energy disperses from one place to another once it's let out of that area. And what our bodies do, and what we consider the soul, is basically energy. So,
Mhm.
like, when this body is harnessing our energy, when the energy leaves our body, I like to believe that it gets dispersed elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now, for us to think that humanity is the only thing in this universe, like, we know the universe is real, we know it exists, and we know that there are other planets
Mhm.
in this universe. Like, to think that we are the only thing, and that we just keep being dispersed right back on Earth is insanity to me. But also, not only is it energy, it's the energy, it's the same energy, I'd like to say.
Yeah.
So that's where we get to the whole conversation of our soul is eternal. We've been alive for forever, but our limitation is pretty much based on us by our brain, who tries to make sense of what we see and where we are currently.
Right.
But we get intuitions, we get thoughts, we sometimes we have outer body experiences in our dreams, and we just think, oh, like we're not. Um, we just think like we brush it off. That's a dream. It's not real. Whatever. But I'm with you there, brother. I think that our souls are very old, and I think that is what we are meant to do, is to try to dig deep in there and see, like, know who we truly are.
Yeah.
I know I ramble,
No,
so
you did.
stop me if I ever
No,
start
bro.
to
That's
make
literally the
not make
point of
sense.
this. That's the point of the show. Like the idea is to keep the topic is to keep the conversation random. That's
Yeah,
literally the point of the topics, where
yeah,
the
and
conversation goes. Yeah.
that's one of my favorite conversations, because hell, I don't know anything, and I think the biggest thing about me and what people need to understand is that no, we don't know anything. So when people get to arguing about something like that,
Yeah.
right? Nope, there is no God. It's like, bro, you don't know that, and by the time you know that, you won't be able to describe to
Yeah.
anyone what you saw and if whether you were right. So why is this an argument?
I have
It,
I have two things to point out on that, on what that before we get back on the topics, and that is that, yes. So my idea of energy is that we're created to learn lessons. As an energy, we're created to learn lessons. Our physical bodies don't exist long enough for us to learn those lessons. So we get reincarnated until we learn all the lessons that our energy is meant to learn. And then we might ascend to another platform of existence. I also don't believe in angels and demons. I believe in other alien life that's been around millions of years longer than we have. And they telepathically portray themselves through what we know. So like whether it's the presence of a demon or an angel, because that's what they've learned about us or they know of us. And the more like tragedy or energy that is built up around areas, they use that to for telepathy, whether to let themselves be known. I mean, I don't know. It's a far fetched, but it's just as real as believing in a god and a devil.
mhm.
It's
I mean, yeah, I'm with you right there, where I do feel like we need to understand more, and I think that a lot of the people who, like monks and those type of people who look within, everything is like looking within, and I think that we don't spend enough time looking within when all the answers are within. um we think about gods and things of that sort. So one of the things that I do prescribe to is the fact that we're all, it's kind of hard to think about it like that, because we know average people and it's like there's nothing godly about these people. But it really comes down to, it's between the people who look within and the people who are just stuck, living in the dream, I guess. I'll give you a piece of reading that really brought this thought to my attention, and it was The Five Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the I want to say it was the Power of Self. But either way, like The Five Agreements, his son wrote another book that The Mastery of Self. Um, Written by his son Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. And really, what it tells you is to look within, and it tries to give you an understanding of what life is through the eyes of the Toltec. And they describe life as, we're at a party and everyone is drunk in this party. Drunk being the fact that they're lost in their dream,
right.
but you're the only one that's awake, and you're the only one that's sober. I mean, it's very eye opening to think about that. It's just like those people who are drunk are the people who don't look within at all, and they don't try to figure out who they are, and what's the purpose of life, and like, and they don't search for meaning. Um, but it's very interesting to think about it. It's very interesting to think of, you're walking. Another thought that they put through is, um, nope, my son.
You're good.
Another thought is the fact that we're like walking through a fog, and the only way to clear the fog is to acknowledge that the fog exists, kind of thing. And then
I like
once the
that.
fog exists, it brings vision to it brings sight to a mirror that helps you look within yourself. That's another metaphor that they use in there. So it's like it's a very short read, but it gives you things to think about while you're running the rat race, man, that we all do.
I like that. That's a very simple way of of explaining it to people too. It's not like intense words that you don't understand and shit.
It's I recommend those books very highly. It made those are the ones that made me think outside of reality and just outside of the day to day. And dude, this what we do. We get lost in, like I said, we have families, man. We have jobs, which, by the way, that's something brought upon us by you know by humanity.
Right.
And like we're not meant to do that, other than the things that we needed to do to survive and to keep our families alive as much as possible. But
Right.
the 9 to 5, it's a way to just think about, oh, there's more to this than just the repetitiveness of what we
Right.
do every single day. So, and I think that's something everyone should strive for, because we all need a purpose.
Yes. Yes. 100%. I always like the idea of like trade being the way of living, man. You work and trade what you work. It's simple, but it makes sense. You earn it like by doing your own work and then trading it for somebody else's work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Like the
We
short,
need a lot more. That's why everyone's like networking.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another way of doing that.
right. This kind of plays into the next one here. It says sleep should be rolled over. Like, oh, you got 20 hours of sleep today? Cool, man. You don't need sleep for the next 3 days.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing because I get like 4 to 6 hours a day. That's it. I mean, that's
I
my life.
I'm about that. I'm about right
Yeah.
there with that. I don't get too much sleep, and yeah, I don't. I may not look it, but like I get up in the morning to go to the gym, because I can't get my workout in throughout the day. So I'm up by 5 o'clock in the morning to get a workout in before I start my work day. And then after a work day, you get into family. By the time they're all dressed and tucked into bed, you might have like an hour or so to watch some TV with your wife, fiance, girlfriend, whatever, and then fall asleep and start it all over again.
My
I
wife
want to sleep
gets
more.
my wife gets so mad at me because she'll be like, "Let's watch a movie." I'm like, "Okay." She'll put it on like 10 minutes into it. I'm snoring.
I'm like that now too. I
I
try
felt
not to be.
I've fallen asleep standing up. Like it's because sometimes it's the craziest thing, but like I'll be standing in the kitchen talking to my wife and she'll catch me dozing off. I'm just like, damn, that's sad.
I haven't done that just yet, but I'm very close.
Hey man. um,
Yeah, they're
I've
curious.
had people on who've been babysitting. They've had their kids sitting on their laps. It's great though, and I love doing this. Talk to people from all over the world this way. So
Yeah. Trust me, dude. I try to bring them to the studio, because I think it's important for them to see things like that. I can't wait till I have my own studio, like in my house. But like I said earlier, we don't have space.
this
But
is this is a corner desk in the basement with a green screen in the background. I've got a laptop, a keyboard, and a mic, and one of those ring lights. That's it. That's my setup.
yeah, I told my fiance that, I'm like, I'm gonna, try to do something in the basement, and she was like, but then I can't keep the kids from touching it. I'm
Yeah.
like, so I rent the space, and I try to get there. Like we record from there. I actually just to make a couple bucks, I rent that space out to other podcasters who don't want to
Nice.
figure things out like we do.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the cool thing about this is it's portable. You know, I could take it if there's too much going on. I live in a townhouse and I get along with my neighbors pretty well. And sometimes I'll use their basement. Like if we have guests over, but I already booked somebody, I'll just fucking jump over there.
Yeah, once I took over the space because my buddies, like I said, I was, running and gunning, with podcasting. You let me use their space because their office space they were renting out because they hadn't used it in a while. They purchased, a storefront and stuff, so they've been working out of there. So I was using it, with all their stuff just around me. I was like, oh, sweet. And then when their lease came up, I took it over, and that's been my studio space ever since. So now we have it all set up so that we don't it doesn't move. But I since then I've purchased other things like I think I mentioned it to you that we're going to Comic-Con
Yes.
in about a week or so, and I purchased equipment that I could actually take with me. So we have the stuff to carry, and we have the in studio stuff that just stays there. But it's nice, man. It's nice to have that space. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want that bill. But having the space is amazing.
That is nice. And you have a whole setup there. You got several mics and everything.
Yeah, we have I had a buddy build a table, and I have area for four people, up to four people onto the pad, and then we record everything on on iPhones. We have 3 iPhone 10s that we just set up, and I have the lights. I have everything. It's fun.
That's so nice though. Like that's really cool. I'd like to get there eventually. If I get to a point where I start getting sponsorships, stuff like that, I might look into renting something. But yeah, for now this works. So.
Oh yeah. If I didn't, if I wouldn't have done that, I probably would have stopped podcasting. But in all honesty, it's crazy to think, but I'm coming up on 4 years, 3.5 to 4 years of podcasting. Almost 3 years. Will be 3 years with Insensitive Culture in February. So it's crazy to think that I would have stopped that if I didn't have that space, and it was a big leap of faith for me just to do that. So now things are starting to balance out, but it's also expanding. So that's where I try to, minimize some of that cost by renting out the space and my services to other podcasters. But the second that we can get sponsors, I'm not doing podcasts for other people other than like people in my network,
Right.
Then we'll have a whole team that handles things like that. But
exactly,
as far
man.
as renting out services, nah.
You get people who like, dude, some people get like $5,000, $6,000 contracts with companies, sometimes even more. Shit, you get 3 of those. You get 3 of those, man. I'd just be working part-time in my day job.
Yeah, we're all waiting for the day that we could, we could quit our jobs. That's always the goal. And some people want that within a year, dude, and that's not realistic. It has to be a hobby for a while. And not only that, but like, even though we like our content and we're content with ourselves, we know that certain things come with time. So, I'll listen back to one of my first episodes and I'll cringe, man. Like it's the evolution is ridiculous. In these past 3 years, but also I'm my biggest critic. So where people will say, oh, you're great or whatever, I'm like, oh, dude, I have to work on. In my mind, I'm like, no, man. I say I do this, I do that, where I don't like it, and I need to get better at these things and these topics, things like that. There's always room for improvement, and sometimes there are things you can do, and sometimes the thing you can do is just keep going.
And dude. I re-listen to my episodes. Every episode I play, I re-listen to it and critique it. That's how I've gotten better. I've even deleted some of my first episodes because they were that bad. Now that I listen back on them, I'm like, I don't like it. Getting rid of it.
I don't ever think I've shelved episodes other than I tried months ago, earlier in the year. I tried to bring back my Asylum podcast with newer interviews, and then I realized like I had 3 episodes that I'd done. Now I'm much better with editing as far as like videos and like interview style and whatnot, but I don't know, like it all came right back to me why I stopped the show. It's like yeah, so those are the only episodes that they've never seen the day of light, but the light of day. So other than that, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna throw it out there, and if it's shitty, I'll hear about it. If not, whatever. As long as the editing is all right.
I was gonna say, do you edit and crop out a lot of stuff like the ums and all that? Do you go through and edit that out?
I used to when it was only audio. When it was only audio, I would go through and I'd be like nitpick the things and try to make it sound much better. With video editing, unless I want to go through the audio first and make sure that all the audio is good and then sync the video with audio and then try to do it's just too much work, dude. We just take out the things that we can take out, and everything else just whatever. I mentally, and I don't do a great job obviously because I probably said so many times in this episode, but I just I know that okay, this is a problem for me. So at least acknowledge that this is a problem and do my best with minimizing that.
There's something real about it though. I think that being a listener, being real seems to catch people's eyes. Like you get some of these huge, massive like podcasters that are well known, and they have a team that does it for them. That's different. It's not even the same thing, and you can hear it. Like there's a show I listen to called Time Suck with Dan Cummins, and it's like a 2-hour long thing, but you can almost catch like where they trimmed it or they caught it. And to me, I don't think it's really necessary. You're allowed to catch your fuck ups live or in your recordings.
Yeah, and for us, it's also I mentioned the fact that I don't want to just do the audio and then go to video. Our show runs anywhere between 2.5 hours to 3 hours. I'm just not sitting through. And on top of that, like I don't do the main editing. I at least have Johnny Quest. He actually does the full episode, the editing for the full episode. But I do the promos, so I have to listen to it anyway just to kind of figure like, which clip can I make into a promo and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not sitting 3 hours through the episode and then combing through it again. It's like, no, that's too much work, man.
It is.
We'll pay someone at some point to do that. So I just know like, okay, last time I didn't like this about the way I was speaking.
Beige said and sexy.
Yeah, I just try to think of like the things that the way that I speak and what I didn't like about it, and I try to be, I just try to be aware of these things.
Right.
And I don't know if because I've started doing that in real life when I'm actually speaking to people. Right. It's like, dude, am I being like too much? Is this too much now?
But he said you look like a Puerto Rican Drake.
Oh, dude, I get that all the time. I look like every light-skinned black dude that you can imagine. Yeah. When I was thinner, I got Drake. I got Will Smith in certain angles. And then now that I'm heavier, you get the Ice-T.
Right on, man. Right on. All right, let's get another one of these out of the way. We're probably not going to get all of them, but this next one's pretty funny here. It says, waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds super rad if you don't know what either of those things are.
Oh, man, I love to waterboard. It's when you just dive into the ocean, right?
I told my wife that. She started cracking up, man, because it's true. It actually sounds. For me, it's like, oh yeah, wakeboarding. Right off the bat, it's like wakeboarding. If you don't know what
Yeah.
waterboarding is, then it's actually like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like, why?
Guantanamo Bay. Oh, my parents have been there. Like,
Yeah, it's
I
a
can't wait
resort.
to go. I can't wait to go. Oh man. I remember an episode of prior to podcasting, I used to be a very big fan of Rover in the Morning. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but I think they're based out of like Cleveland. But they did a lot of wild stuff. And one of the dudes, they waterboarded the dude with whiskey. That just doesn't sound like fun at all, man.
No,
Waterboarding
not at
doesn't
all.
sound good at all. But with
No.
whiskey,
I had a
no
friend
thanks.
who beer bonged a whole bottle of Patron and then just passed the fuck out.
Man, I actually have a great tolerance for alcohol. My friends give me shit all the time because we'll match them back to back, and it doesn't even like it used to be a thing where it's like, yeah, I don't mix clear, dark, whatever. Literally, they'll hand me whatever, we'll drink, and they're like, dude, I don't know how you do it. They're like falling over. I'm like, I don't know, man.
I used to be that way. Now it's like I can't mix my liquors. If I have more than like 4 or 5 beers, I usually have a headache. So I just, I got my craft beer, or I'll sip on some whiskey on the rocks or something, but that's about it.
It's starting to kick my ass. Not the day of. Like I can drink, depending on what it is. If it's too sugary, then I start feeling like just more of a weirdness within my body rather than it messing me up in that sense. But I'll still be able to outdrink most people. However, the next day, I'm wrecked.
You got to have the day off.
I need the day off. And I don't get the day off from kids, so so I don't have that opportunity to sleep it off or anything. It's like, nope, I'm up when they're up. Maybe after, while they're watching cartoons, I can doze off for a little bit, but that's all I have, man.
I do that all the time, man. I'll just give them their tablet and I'll be like, I just need a little bit of sleep, put a cartoon on the show, and I'll lay on the couch to just tell them to lay with me, and I'm good to go.
Hey, brother, we're just for those of you assholes out there that like to give a shit for doing something like that. We're just trying to survive, okay?
Yeah, no, there's well, see, I can also wake up really easy. So if I fall asleep and my daughter goes, "Hey, Dad," and I'll wake up. It's not like I don't go into this deep sleep.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't get deep sleep.
Yeah,
I don't get deep sleep at all. It's the worst.
I can't remember the last time that I had deep sleep.
Have you ever had a night where you went to sleep and then woke up in the morning?
No, I usually wake up multiple times throughout the night.
Same. Have you ever felt well rested? What is that? I don't
know. Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Sometimes if you do get that deep sleep, or at least the 12 hours that you needed, because by the grace of whoever, you actually got to sleep for that long, I still feel like crap.
Yeah, I've made myself go back to sleep on my days off because I naturally I'm in this like rhythm of just this pattern of sleep, barely any sleep, then I wake up. But I've made myself lay back down and go to sleep, but still I never like wake up like, oh man, that's so nice.
Yeah, oh man, I'm ready for the day. No, dude. I need my ready for the day is stumble into the bathroom, brush my teeth, do what I got to do, go downstairs, grab some pre-workout if I'm going to the gym, or grab my cup of coffee if I'm just gonna hang out. But that's every day is the same shitty feeling.
Oh yeah, dude, I know too well. This next one says there should be a millennial edition of Monopoly where you just walk around the board paying rent and never able to buy anything.
Yeah. I wasn't never good at Monopoly, so that sounds pretty much on par with my experience with Monopoly in general.
I don't think I've ever finished a game of Monopoly either.
Yeah. it sounds too much like real life. I know I got to pay these bills. I don't want to pay you fake bills now.
So true, man. So true.
Yeah, so it's not so different.
Do you own your townhouse or do you rent? Or
I rent, yeah.
Are you in a duplex or a house?
Duplex. Well, it's a full
yeah.
What's
Mine's
it called?
like a fourplex or whatever you call them, townhouse. So yeah.
This one has about like 6 attached together in this one unit. But no, we rent it. We're hoping to be in a home by next year. We're and then I will the little one. This is the one. I don't know if you have daughters.
I do. My youngest is 5 and she's wonderful.
Yeah, it's both of my daughters are extremely wild child. So I know I'm hoping my experience with kids,
right,
is that if they're wild as kids, I don't have to worry about them. They calm down by the time they're older. At least with my nieces and nephews is like that. I'm hoping that this is where
hopefully, yeah. My daughter's in kindergarten now, and it's been a ride. It's been a ride, man. It's hard.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. Yeah, she's turning 3, and she's a handful. My oldest is 9. She's still a handful. So I'm hoping that and then my son is absolute madman. So I'm just hoping that at some point they all just mellow out. I have nieces and nephews that are all like now in their 20s, and if they were wild, my younger brothers too. And the ones that were wild when they were kids, and I used to pull my hair out, babysitting these kids. They're all super mellow at 20, and just like relaxed.
Yep.
And then the ones that were relaxed at that age, they're like wilding out. Yeah. So,
see, I was very mellow growing up as a kid, and then after I got out of high school and I learned what drinking and alcohol, weed was, I had this like spiral for like 3 or 4 years of just all these things I didn't know existed, and then I started mellowing out again.
Yeah, I was a very mellow kid. Very much into video games, all of that stuff. My dad has always been a pothead. And we can get into the craziness of my family at some other time. But needless to say, at about 17, I started, I didn't have to help him out with his drug tests, if you know what I mean, anymore. So then I started dabbling myself. I'm like, all right, and then that led into like a full on like 6-7 years of just nonstop weed smoking.
Yes.
And I've since then quit and dabble every now and again. But it's like I don't want to. I want to be clear headed.
Same here, man. I don't mind doing it on the occasion, but that's about it.
Yeah, just to kind of relax at home.
Yep.
I try to get better sleep by doing it, and even that didn't help.
If I'm going to be on vacation for a while or something, maybe I'll do it, but that's about the only time anymore.
I tried a little bit, just like with the gummies, because you get the the relaxed body and stuff.
But even then, it's like knowing the measurement, because like if you do too much, it'll knock you on your ass.
It's easier now, and I have a lot of friends in the industry, so I can definitely get it, and I can try to find. So I would do like a half, and that would be the okay. Like that would be like the mellow of, and that's just the ones that I have.
Yeah.
But it'll be mellow, but if I do too much of that, I still wake up in the middle of the night, and now I'm just up in the middle of the night and I'm high.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I didn't get through all of them, but we, our conversation kind of led into other things, which is great because that's the purpose of the show. But hey, I'd love to have you on again, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on your show. For the audience, sorry if I rambled on too much about anything. That's just what I do. We're podcasters. That's what we do. We talk.
That's literally why I started this. So,
and I'm sorry about the kids yelling in the background, but
dude,
definitely we need to do it again, dude.
It's all good, man. Like I said, you're not the first and you won't be the last. So where can everybody find you, dude?
Yeah, so as I've said a couple of times, I'm 1/3 of Insensitive Culture. You can follow us on IG, Insensitive Culture on IG and TikTok. You could subscribe to our show on YouTube. We have full episodes on YouTube. And wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star rating. We feel like we deserve it. And if you like or hate the show, let us know in the reviews, because we don't care, but we like to hear from you anyway.
Right. All right, man. I'm gonna let you get out of here, and I'll put all that in the description as well. I'll send the links to all your stuff. Do you have a link tree?
I do. We use drum.io, but same premise, different layout. That's all.
Gotcha.
I'll share it with you, buddy.
I was gonna say, send me that link, and I'll put it in the description for everybody. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on your show, dude.
Of course, man. We'll be in touch. You know.
We will. See you guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, buddy.